books to learn something new. You just said some of you love songs, some of you love to create things. You can learn a lot from books, or sometimes you'll pick up a book and find out that somebody tried doing this and it didn't work, so it might not be something that you want to do or share. I advise you to get a book club. Easiest thing in the world. It can be by asking a friend or a relative to read a book with you, and it doesn't have to be in a library where everything is very quiet, okay? Go outside when it's nice out. It's going to be beautiful this summer. Get a book or get a cassette player and get a book on tape and lay underneath a tree in the sun with a snack and listen to a book together. It is amazing to me. I've been an educator my whole life. I can hear Usla say something, and Rosemary will listen to the same thing, but we hear two entirely different messages. Now, is one of us right and one of us wrong? No. It's just how our brains work and how we interpret things. And Usla may say something that really excites me, and I'll be real happy to try and go and do it. And Rosemary might be like, okay. And that's so about all of us, okay? We have different joys, we have different loves. We all have something we don't like to do, okay? And that's just the way it is. So I encourage you to get together. If you're going to have a book club, you would either have to talk to a school library or Chicago Public Library to make sure they have enough copies of the books so that you could share them, or else get a cassette player and do a book on tape and listen to it together. Or there are books that are designed for you to read together. I have to give credit to all of these books. My daughter is a reading specialist out in Joliet, and so when I found out that I was going to be discussing books, I naturally called her to ask her what books you might be interested in. Because I'm a mathematician, and I know that all of you would not like to sit around and read books about math. Okay?
Except the one goddess of math.
Ah, that's right. We do have a goddess.
This is a book. It's called Joyful Noise. If you go on YouTube, you can see people reading this together. It is meant to be read together. It has poems that you can either take turns reading, or you can read them together. And it's all about insects: grasshoppers, water striders, mayflies, fireflies, book lice. And you read it with a friend aloud together. Here's the beginning of grasshoppers. And I've never read aloud together with a friend, but I think it might be something fun to do, at least to try it and see how it works. I did some research, and they talk about journaling. Besides doing homework in school or reading in school, do any of you ever read a book and journal it? Huh? Yeah. That could be very, very helpful. To me, when I do read things and I write it down, that's how I remember something. It's the only way I can actually learn it. If you were to make me stand up here and try to memorize something and not let me write, I would have a very difficult time doing it. But I also know that everybody here has different learning styles, and what works for one doesn't work for another, so you have to be adaptable. Judy Blume is one of the most prolific writers for young ladies and men and adults. And I guess she's even got some smaller children books now. So I would start by saying, pick up a Judy Blume book. There are hundreds of them. She has sold 1,000 books, translated into 31 languages, okay? And there are favorites. This is kind of an older, series of books, but she had books about fudge. She had books about, Dear God, It's Me, Margaret, Are You There? She had many different types of books, so there's got to be something that might interest you. This is something, sorry young gentlemen, girls, you should be the best in everything. Everything. I encourage you, if nothing else today, to figure out what talents God has given you and use those talents. Whether you're a mathematician, whether you love to sing, take what He's given you and just do it to the best of your ability. And always be on the lookout for someone to help you and give you new techniques so that you can enjoy what you do the best. Some of you might be into fashion crafts. You might like making jewelry. You might like making clothes. I have a daughter that lives in New York, and she's a designer, and that's what she does for a living. She makes clothes. If you had asked me 20 years ago what I thought my daughter would be doing, I would have never said she would be a designer in New York. But that's what she loves to do. She loves to make beautiful clothes for women. and she's very, very good at it. This is something I read with my children and grandchildren, cooking in the kitchen, okay? We are big-time gardeners. Every summer, my grandchildren have to grow a vegetable they love, and they have to grow a vegetable that they've never, ever had before to see if they like it. And sometimes they like the vegetable, and sometimes they decide they probably shouldn't have grown it anyway. But if you put it like this, you can get different recipes out of here. And Emerald is very exciting to watch and to read, and he's got numerous things. Maybe pizza. Maybe you like making pizza. Maybe you like making tacos. Whatever kind of food you like, you can find a recipe in a cookbook. American Girls. I wished that I had thought of American Girl dolls. I do.
We all do.
They have a series of books. Josephina Learns a Lesson is one of them. And they have some wonderful, wonderful books to read and to enjoy with somebody else. Here's one for crafters. Things to do with magazines, junk mail, and newspapers, besides just recycling it. Things that you can make. So you can learn something from something like this. Cosmetologist. You all look so lovely today. I'm sure that many of you could become a cosmetologist and make other people look beautiful also. Step families. We often read because we're entering a time in our life that we don't know about, that we don't know how things are going to turn out. And you can pick up a book and read about it. Not only step families, about growing up in today's world, but you can learn a lot from books about what you might be going through in the future. Self-respect. I hope everybody here, and I'm sure you do, think highly of yourselves. Not so highly that you're going around going, I'm wonderful, I'm brilliant, okay? But you know in your own heart that you are very, very good in certain subjects, that you are very talented. If you asked me to come up here this afternoon and sing a song, I would be out of here within 3 seconds. But I love to listen to other people sing. Did anybody see gospel singing for teens? It was on TV a couple weeks ago. These teens try out in New York, in Harlem, to become a part of this choir.
Yes, I saw that. It was wonderful.
Some of them start out and they can barely sing, and this lady has other teachers and they teach them to sing, and then they do performances. They were on CBS earlier this week, and they are, to listen to these children sing, it was just, oh, it was thrilling. This is on history. I'm not a big history buff, but some of you might like to go back in time and find out how girls have grown up over the different periods. Sometimes I like to sit and think, what if I told you no electricity, no bathroom, no hair dryers? You want to take a shower? You go out in the river and you take a bar of soap. Would you like to live like that? No. I wouldn't. But people did. They did it for years. And women did a tremendous amount of work. You had to go out, you had to grow your food, you had to collect it yourself, you had to cook it, and then you had to figure out a way to save some for the winter, because you couldn't grow things during the winter in many areas. So women have changed many, many times over the year. And I look at you, ladies, I know that in schools you probably have computers that you are on, or you're given assignments to do, and you have such a great future ahead of you. It's really, really thrilling to think about it. I think that's about all that I have to say. I thank you again for being here. I hope that you take a friend or a relative and get a good book and share a good book with them. I don't know, I was trying to go online this night. I think the best bargain you can get in Chicago is the Chicago Public Library card. It entitles you to go to the library, to get magazines, to get books. I love to go on the